Hey guys, as promised, here is your TIA video. All of these documents will be uploaded into Google Classroom for your access, but this video will be available to walk you through getting started as well. So we have some documents that will support you. Everything is linked right here to the TIA organization in Google for SLO process. So the process for creating SLOs for R&I teachers is linked here for you to view. That document is lengthy. It gives the why behind everything we do, how it was aligned to the TEA process. It has your checklists here. So this is the area that you will focus on. BOY conference held by September 6th. And so here are all your checks that you need to do beginning of year. Here are all your checks that you need to do ongoing throughout the year, and then your EOY checklist. But what I'm going to do today is we're going to actually walk through that process. So another resource that you have is selecting your students. And so that document just talks you through some things to consider. So remember, when you're choosing your 14 students, you need to have a direct impact on them educationally. So you should see them in the classroom. So if you look under bullet 2, examples, number 1, so Jamie's in your in-class support for 4th grade reading. She's also in your Read Well group. You're touching that kiddo twice during the school day. The same example is on number 2. So they're in your math SFM class, but you also have them for VMath or ALEX. So those kids would be high priority. Then if you do not have resource groups, or you don't get to your 14 with the kids you do have in resource, then you can look at your schedule and what content do you serve in the most or that you're most comfortable with. And you're going to review your student's schedule of services within that content. You're going to look at the goals in that content area, and then you would choose those kiddos based on that area. You don't have to choose all math or all reading. If you have kids that you serve, let's say you have kids that you serve in reading or English at the high school level, but you also have a world geography class and that student has a goal, you could choose multiple content areas. Okay, I'm going to come back to my organization. So those are just some resources that you have to help you get started. But the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to your Google Drive and you're going to use this link right here for the TIA teacher folders. When you click on this link, it's going to take you to our master folder. This is where you will house all of your TIA documents. So you're going to add new, and you're going to choose new folder. And you are going to name that folder with this format: your last name, comma, first name, and then 25, 26, TIA, SLO. Ignore my typo there because I've already created that folder right here. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to come back to your organization document and you're going to make a copy of this TIA spreadsheet. Okay, so it's going to force you to make a copy. When you when you make that copy, you're going to name it just like we did your folder. You're going to name it with your name. So this one is first name, last name, and then leave the rest of it. And you're going to add this to your TIA folder that you just created. You're going to put it in that folder. So now when we go back to your main folder, you're going to have your TIA SLO spreadsheet already here. Okay. So once you've done that, you're going to make a copy of the SLO rubric. It's going to force you to make a copy. And you're going to name it just as we did the spreadsheet. And then you're going to add that to your TIA folder. So when you come back, now you should have your rubric and your spreadsheet housed here. The next thing you're going to do is inside your TIA folder, you're going to add a folder with each of your students that you've selected for the SLO process. So you should have a minimum of 14 folders. And you can have more. Remember, we encouraged you that if you start with more, then you're not in danger of not having enough at the end of the process. So the folder should be named with the first and last name of the student and their enrolled grade level. So if we hop back over here to my folder, you will see I have a student folder here. First name, last name, ninth grade. Okay. You're going to do that for all 14 plus students. And then inside each of your student folders, you're going to have data folders. You should have these 5 folders: BOY data, first 9 weeks data, second 9 weeks data, third 9 weeks data, and EOY data. So if we come back over here in the students folder, you will see those 5 folders listed. Once that process is done, you're going to go to Eduphoria. And once you're in Eduphoria, you're going to go to Profiles. And you are going to choose a student that is that's one of your 14 plus kiddos. And you are going to add their student growth tracker. So you would click on the student and you would click on the Forms tab. And then you're going to add a form. Once that's popped up, you're going to choose Special Education. You're going to choose the Student Growth Tracker, and you're going to click Add. That will populate to the student's Eduphoria Forms tab. When you view this, I'm going to just go over this really quickly. You're going to put in the student's name. Maybe. You're going to put your name, the class that you're monitoring for this process. It could be math resource, it could be readings resource, it could be English 2, whatever the course is where you're having an impact on the kiddo. If you have them in 2 courses, you could put 4th grade RLA and Readwell reading resource. You could add both of those. Okay, this is where you're going to document all of your data findings over the course of the year. So we'll come back to this in just a little bit, but your first 9 weeks here, that is your first 9 weeks progress update. So you're already writing that for the kiddo. So you're just going to copy and paste and put that here. Okay. So the next thing that you're going to make sure that you do is that by the dates, the deadline dates on your spreadsheet, they're also listed on this form at the bottom. We'll look at those in just a second, but you're going to upload data sources to each of those 5 folders we made in the student folder. So data sources should be clearly labeled. They should be student name, date of assignment, the targeted skill connection, and the score. So here's an example. Butts 9/21/25, add and subtract with regrouping 42%. So just a reminder, if you're making a copy of a paper pencil assignment or you've taken a picture of something they've done in the classroom, you'll need to scan and email that so it can be uploaded as a PDF to your Google folder. If you're using a CFA or something straight from Eduphoria, then you can save that straight as a PDF into the student's data folder. When we open that data collection resource, data collection example, the assignment, it should include the student's full name and the date that it was completed. So make sure that each of those things you're uploading in some way have the student's name and the date that the assignment was given. Okay, this section is optional, but consider adding your teacher reflection on the page prior to scanning or emailing it. It could be done with a sticky note, or you could open the document. Once you upload it in a PDF, you could open it in Kami and take your notes there. But it'll help you to show progress over time if you add those comments. And then if you're using a CFA or a district assessment, you'll need to make make sure that you're identifying the specific questions that are tied back to that targeted skill that you're choosing. So that targeted, as a reminder, that targeted skill is going to come from the student's goal, the behavior portion of the goal, and then it's tied to a TEK. So you don't have to write the goal word for word. For example, if in the goal you're looking at summarizing text, then you know that's comprehension. So anything to do with comprehension could be used to support that goal. And then you can't use all the questions or the total score on an assessment or an assignment if various skills or behaviors are being addressed on that assignment. And then at the end of each time period, you'll upload these data sources to the appropriate folder and update the student growth tracker in Eduphoria. So your BOI data is due by September 10th. There's a place on your spreadsheet for your 3 BOI data sources. So you see your 3 BOI data sources. There's an example here. On BOI, you could use last year's STAR. You could use a TIA pretest. You could use any pre-assessment you're doing in our programs, in iExcel and iStation. Anything that you can gather data in the first 3 weeks of school would go here. You're going to add your baseline average and your initial profile level. The data from these 3 sources will be summarized on the student's growth tracker right here in this BOI baseline data. And then you will choose their initial student skill profile. So we have given you some guidelines here that well below typical, you would be thinking of that as the 0 to 20% range, below typical 21 to 40, typical 41 to 60, and then above typical 61 to 80, well above typical 81 to 100. So those are some guidelines to help you choose that initial profile level. As we come back to this document, you'll see that the first, second, third, and EOY are aligned to your progress update deadlines. So they're the Friday following when updates are due to central office. So first 9 weeks is due by October 17th, second 9 weeks, January 16th, third 9 weeks, March 27th, and then EOY May 21st. And again, you're going to add those pieces of data to your TIA spreadsheet with the percentage level. You will average it here and then choose the appropriate profile level. Then you will take this data, you will come back to Eduphoria, and this is your first 9 weeks update, and you're going to update the student skill profile at that time. In your folders back in your Google Drive, by September 10th, you should have your 3 sources of BOY data in your folder in Google where we can see that. One other change that we did make based on your feedback at Content Co-op is that EOY data, we knocked that down to 2. So you will only have to have 2 fourth 9 weeks data sources. And then really quickly, let me show you how we changed the rubric to match that data source. So your high quality SLO documentation, you're going to make sure that you have 14 students represented on that TIA spreadsheet, and you've documented the evidence for BOY. That's the first row here. The second row is that you have a student growth tracker in Eduphoria with documented evidence to justify growth on each of your kiddos. And then the last one is your EOY, that you have at least 10 plus students represented on your TIA growth spreadsheet, and you've documented that evidence up to EOY on your spreadsheet. Data collection, since we moved EOY down to 2, we changed this to 14 plus data sources, and we changed the quality down from 10 down to 8 plus quality data sources. And remember, your quality data sources are things that are a cold assessment for students. So iStation benchmarks, district assessments, CFAs, any unit test, STAR, any resource program benchmarks. So things where kiddos are working completely independently, those are considered quality data sources. And then your targeted student growth is your last section of your rubric. And again, this is about what percentage of your kids made growth from BOY to EOY. If you have, so you're going to take your total number of students. You're going to, and let's say out of your 14 that you had 7 of 14 make growth, that would come out to 50%. So you would fall here in the 0 points. But if you had 75% of your students who made growth, then you're going to get additional points. The chart is attached here. So if it was 75%, you're going to come to your chart and you would receive 145 points on your rubric. Okay. Your rubric's already uploaded in your folder, but just as a reminder, your administrator has to complete that rubric, sign the rubric. You would sign the rubric, and then you would upload it as a PDF into this folder so it would no longer be able to be changed. So once this rubric is complete, you're going to use your print to PDF. Once it's signed and everything's ready, you're going to use your print to PDF and save it back into your folder. I know that there will be questions, and that's great. We're happy to help with questions. So if there's anything that you need from us to get started, if you're struggling to find 14 plus students, let us know and we'll come sit with you. We'll figure out the process. We would love your feedback. If you find things that aren't working smoothly, reach out to us and we'll see if we can adjust and make changes. As always, we appreciate everything that you do. We're so thankful to have you on our team, and we hope that your first week of school was amazing. Let us know if you need anything.